How's everyone doing, guys? It's your boy JJ Domination here, and today we are going to be reacting to an old video that I put up about my 2018-2019 NBA predictions, mainly talking about the awards and who I thought was going to have the best record and the worst record in the NBA. That video is actually 33 minutes long, but I only watched half the video because that's all I really needed for this episode. And I know it's been about a week since I uploaded. You know, life hits you fast, you know. Probably not going to be that many uploads in the future, only because I have a lot of stuff going on in my life. Kind of don't want to talk about it because, you know, this is YouTube. We're here to have fun. Not that anything bad is happening in my life, but I'm just saying, like, life hits you fast. That's why I haven't been able to upload. But I'm going to be reacting to some stuff that I said in a previous video. I have all of the NBA ballots for the awards. I'll see if I got any dudes on there correctly. I do know for MVP in the video, I ended up picking two guys. I can go ahead and tell you the second guy, like, it's not even close, just because of the year, the way that the year went. But first, we're going to start off with the best record, or most wins. Most wins, I thought it was going to be Golden State. I predicted 66 wins. I believe they went out and got 58, which is the second most in the NBA. It was a pretty safe pick at the time. And by the way, I'll go ahead and tell you, for one or two of these awards, I went out on a limb. So this was just me trying to go against the grain. So don't make too much fun of me, you know, like, I'm just saying. And by the way, I'm still strong on a lot of these opinions. I thought Golden State was going to win 66 games, even if DeMarcus Cousins was going to be hurt all year. I really thought they were going to do that. They had their struggles. They had moments where they were losing by 20 to teams they had no business losing by 22, but you know, that's just the way it goes. It's basketball. In the regular season, anybody can beat anyone on any given night, but in the playoffs, when you're playing a 7-game series, as the Clippers, the Houston Rockets, and the Portland Trailblazers are finding out, this shit ain't easy. So Golden State, I had them winning 58 or 66. They ended up winning 58. The worst team, this is actually pretty laughable now, so you guys can actually make fun of me if you want. I had Orlando winning 23 games. They ended up going to the playoffs as the number 7 seed in the East. I did not have Orlando making the playoffs. I thought they were at least a year or two away. I didn't say that in the video, but that's just my personal opinion. At the time, I was like, you know, it's going to be another year or two. They're going to have to develop Mo Bamba. They're going to have to get other guys going. Jonathan Isaac, you know, they're going to have to develop a little bit more. But this team just found a way to win games. They ended up firing their coach. I forgot who it was. I think it was Frank Vogel. They ended up firing, and then Steve Clifford came in, and this team somehow became a playoff team. I don't know how. The shit just happened. Nikola Vucevic ends up making an all-star team. So they ended up winning 42 games, so they almost doubled the number that I gave them. I had this team being worse than the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks, of course, were one of the teams that were quote-unquote tanking, but they were winning games at the end of the year anyway. But the Orlando Magic, shout out to you guys for making the playoffs and proving me wrong. I would rather be proven wrong than to be proven right. It's just my personal opinion. Another prediction that looks kind of silly, not really silly at the time, but Coach of the Year. This is one of the first real awards right here. I had it going to Brad Stevens. Obviously, that did not happen. I don't even think he's in the conversation based on the ballot. So, silly me. I thought Brad Stevens would be able to figure this thing out. He's not even on the ballot, and I will talk about the ballot later, so it doesn't seem like a repeat episode from 7 months ago. Most improved player, this one actually aged pretty well. I had De'Aaron Fox as my winner. I will say he is on the ballot. I don't think he'll win it, but it's going to be pretty damn close. De'Aaron Fox really took that jump. It's not going to show his stats here, but this is what he had last year. He basically improved all around, even his defense. He improved his shooting. And De'Aaron Fox is just a way better basketball player today, and it shows, it reflects, because this team was able to win some games. My 6th man of the year, actually a sad story here. I had it being Tyreek Evans, the wrong Indiana Pacer, because Domantas Sabonis is actually on the ballot. I had it being Tyreek Evans, and of course, if you guys have been keeping up with the NBA, Tyreek Evans, there was some drug issue, like he violated a drug policy, and he's being kicked out of the NBA for 2 years, or he could reinstate in 2 years, or try to get reinstated in 2 years. But he's basically banned from the NBA, basically pulling an OJ Mayo, if you guys remember that story from a few years ago. It sucks, man, for Tyreek Evans, because he's a hooper. Didn't really have the greatest of years this season, kind of struggled to find his role on the team. You know, there's a lot of guys who can do some of the stuff that he can do, but probably bigger and play different positions. I thought Tyreek Evans was going to be the sixth man of this team, so bad guess on my part, but at the time it seemed pretty reasonable. Defensive Player of the Year, I had it being Kawhi Leonard. I don't even think he's on the ballot, which speaks volumes of how many good defenders we had in this league over the past year. Kawhi Leonard, I even said, could possibly be top 5 in the MVP voting. Of course, they narrowed it down to 3, but if you were to have a 4 and a 5, you could make the argument for Kawhi. I just feel like it'd be a little hard because he missed like 20 plus games. My Rookie of the Year. Now, this was the award that I said I was going to go out on a limb, so don't make fun of me. I just tried to be different, and I said it was going to be Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, Jaren Jackson Jr., to his credit, actually played well. You know, they're not going to show the stats there, but he had, pretty good points per game. The rebounding was kind of low. I think that's something he needs to improve on, but he's a really good defender, a good shot blocker, and, he's more of a modern-day NBA center, but he is playing the power forward position, so hopefully this team trades Jonas Valanciunas and moves Jaren Jackson Jr. to the center position, draft Ja Morant, get rid of Mike Conley, get some more draft picks and young pieces, and just kickstart the rebuild and build around Jaren Jackson Jr. I wasn't the highest on him coming out of the draft because I thought he was going to need a couple of years to develop, and it still looks like he may need a couple of years to develop, but at the time I was like, man, he's going to be a beast, because based on what I've seen, the Summer League, and I know the Summer League doesn't dictate how good you'll be, but, Jonas Valanciunas was the guy that took a few years to get it going. He was a Summer League MVP, and he ended up being a beast, or at least pretty damn solid, and I think Jaren Jackson, it could be the same story. Now for my MVP, this one aged pretty well. This one particular guy, Giannis Antetokounmpo from Milwaukee, and my second one, yeah, he's not even going to be top 5, maybe not even top 10, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis missed a lot of games. Of course, his name was in trade talks with the LA Lakers. That fell through, and it looks like it's still falling through. Of course, his name has come up for the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with Anthony Davis, but he's definitely not winning the award. Now we're going to go on to the real thing. So I have the photos of the NBA ballots for the awards, and first we're going to start off with the most valuable players. The top 3, it is James Harden, who of course averaged like 36 points a game, or like 35 point something. It's like the most amount of points anyone's averaged in the NBA since Michael Jordan when he won the MVP. So some pretty cool stuff right there. James Harden, I'm just going to be honest, I'm not trying to rip any of the award people, because all 3 of these guys definitely deserve to be in it, but it's sad that James Harden had to score that many points and be the 4th seed in the West. And in my opinion, team success and stats and impact on the floor should matter. And team success definitely didn't come. I mean, it was the 4th seed. It wasn't like he was a top seed. He did have a decent supporting cast. It was pretty good. Obviously, he had Chris Paul, but he was hurt a lot. Clint Capella, the perfect center for his style of play, kind of like Russell Westbrook and Steven Adams out there. PJ Tucker was the perfect power forward for him. So, I mean, there's really no excuse. Harden just scored a bunch of points. He was pretty good at getting assists as well. And he wasn't the best on-ball defender, but he got a lot of deflections, which led to a lot of steals. So shout out to James Harden. I'm not trying to rip his case, but I'm just saying, like, impact on the floor, he had it. Stats, he definitely had it. But team success, Not really. And I know it's a team sport. It's something I said 7 months ago. But I'm just saying, dude, if you're going to be the MVP, your team has to be better than the 4th seed. Unless you're Russell Westbrook and you average a triple-double and you're like the 6th seed. The second award nomination is Paul George. This isn't in any particular order, by the way. I'm just reading it based on how it is on the screen. But Paul George, man, he averaged like 28 points. He led the league in steals. A pretty good shooter throughout the year as well. Paul George really caught fire in the midseason. He kind of started to, take a dip towards the, middle of March. Because he had a shoulder injury. He missed some time. He also missed time in the beginning of the season. Just based on the awards, he'd probably be 3rd place for me, but a really good MVP candidate throughout the year. Won Oklahoma City a lot of games based on his impact. The team's success, though, this is where he definitely doesn't get the credit, because OKC was like, the 6th seed? And it's not like he averaged a triple-double, so I mean, it's going to be hard to win the MVP. And, of course, 3rd was Giannis Antetokounmpo, the guy that I predicted to be in the MVP conversation. So did a lot of people, so that was a pretty safe pick. I kind of went with the NBA media and my own basketball knowledge with that one. It just seemed like the safest pick, and honestly, I think he's going to win the MVP because his impact on the floor, you can tell if you watch the Milwaukee Bucks play that he is the most dominant player at all times. You could definitely tell by watching. In terms of stats, he has the stats. He even improved more. He went from averaging almost 28 points to, I'm pretty sure, being in the same, area. He shot better. I don't like the fact that he's taking threes because he can't hit them. But I appreciate him trying to take it. But Giannis is easily the most dominant player. And team success. They won the most amount of games, 60 wins. And some nights he didn't even have to play that much, because he just dominates the game. I mean, there's nothing else you could really say. Rookie of the year, obviously, I had Jaren Jackson Jr. That's not happening. But the first player is Luka Doncic. So, of course, he came in here, took the league by storm for the first half of the season. He still played well in the second half of the season. But Luka Doncic probably going to win the award. But I'm not mad at it, man. He played really well. Definitely deserves it. Can play a lot of different positions in the league, and it's just so exciting to see young talent come in and take the league by storm. Second, we got Trae Young, man. Ice Trae, baby. Took over the second half of the season. He went from shooting like under 25% from 3 to being a really good 3-point shooter and hitting some game winners along the way. Same thing with Luka Doncic. He hit a lot of game winners in the first half of the season. Trae Young did his thing in the second half of the season. Definitely helped this argument for Rookie of the Year, because a lot of people weren't putting him in the top 3 for the first half of the season. So for him to come in here in the second half of the season and just play significantly better, it definitely helped this argument. And then, of course, 3rd, I think this is a lazy 3rd place selection, but DeAndre Ayton, of course, he was the number 1 pick. Had a solid season. I think a guy that got slept on potentially for 3rd place is Colin Sexton. He averaged like 17 points a game, but DeAndre Ayton statistically was better, so I'm not mad at it at all. 6th man of the year, like I said, I chose the wrong dude for this, the wrong guy. Domantas Sabonis, he's in here. Of course, Sabonis. It didn't really work out in Oklahoma City. Same thing with Victor Oladipo. It just didn't work. They both get traded to the Indiana Pacers for Paul George, and both teams technically won the trade. Both teams got better. Oladipo's been an all-star up to this point. I know he suffered an injury, but he's been an all-star player up to this point. And Sabonis is really blossoming, in the system. Not saying he's a system player. He had the talent, but I'm saying he's benefiting more from this system because they tried to play him in Oklahoma City as a true center, but he's a guy that can stretch the floor, and you need guys that can stretch the floor. And then 2 players from the LA Clippers. I thought this was very interesting. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell is the best backup center in the league, because he's a guy that's going to give you the hustle points. He's just really good at what he does. And Lou Williams is a walking bucket. And this would be his second 6th man of the year win. He's been nominated plenty of times. And the guy just continues to find work. He has one of the best contracts in the NBA. Lou Williams is a beast. Defensive player of the year, we're going to have to go back to Milwaukee. Giannis is in the conversation again. I said in his MVP. Oh, no. That was for Kawhi Leonard. My fault. So, Giannis, man, he's just a beast. One of the best in the NBA at shot blocking and getting steals. So, if you're going to be top 5 in both, you deserve to be up here. Second, Rudy Gobert. I mean, Rudy Gobert is one of the best pure defenders in the league at the center position and probably in all the NBA. Just continues to do it at a high level. One of the most efficient defenders in the league. I didn't mean to do that. But just a very good shot blocker. And a guy that's just really good at playing defense, not getting fouled. He's just very efficient at what he does. He'll probably end up winning the award. But this is the guy who I would love to see win. Paul George, man. I'm pretty sure he was a league leader in steals. Had a decent number of blocks. His on-ball defense was pretty good. Very disciplined throughout the season. That's the guy who I would give it to personally. I know I'm an Oklahoma City fan, so it seems biased, but to be honest, I don't care. Coach of the year, the first one that's on the ballot is Mike Budenholzer of the Milwaukee Bucks. They won 60 games this past year. Mike Budenholzer knows a thing or two about teams with 60 wins. However, this Milwaukee team is built differently, and it's crazy to see the transformation from Milwaukee last season to this season, because last season they were like the 7 seed who was scratching and clawing in a 7-game series against Boston with Jason Tatum and Terry Rozier as the best 2 players on the team. This season they came out and dominated. I know they faced the Detroit Pistons. That's whatever. The Pistons were ass. They didn't deserve to be in the playoffs, but they clinched. I mean, what else could you say? And then Boston, a little dysfunction going on in the organization, but still with all that talent, how could you not piece it together? And then currently against Toronto, they're playing pretty well. I know Toronto just won Game 3, but they're playing pretty good. Mike Budenholzer definitely deserves the award. And here's another one, another shocker. The Denver Nuggets coach, Mike Malone. What Mike Malone has been able to do this season with Jokic and a bunch of guys, and I'm not saying a bunch of guys in a disrespectful way, but Paul Millsap's proven, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, kind of an unknown when it comes to postseason success. Jokic is like the superstar of the team, or at least the all-star caliber player that could be a superstar. It's just been incredible to see what this team has done. Mike Malone has been a great coach throughout the season. I believe, they were second in the West. Now, they did lose the 7-game series to Portland, but, regular season award is a regular season award. And I thought the Denver Nuggets were one of the best regular season teams in the league. Basically, the only team they really couldn't play that well against was Golden State. They lost the season series 3-1. But outside of that, I thought they were pretty good at taking care of business. And then the third team, it was actually the 8th seed in the West, Doc Rivers. You want to talk about a team that overachieved. It's this one, man. A lot of people had them barely missing the playoffs. I mean, they made it in. And it wasn't like they barely got in. It's like they asserted themselves and got in. It was only them and Sacramento. Sacramento already took themselves out before the last week and a half of the season. The Clippers get in. They got to play Golden State, and they took Golden State to 6 games. And I thought they played Golden State the hardest out of anyone in the postseason so far, and that includes the Houston Rockets. Doc Rivers is a great coach. He took basically, not that this roster's bad, but he was able to get the most out of these guys. I mean, Gallinari is a player that's always hurt. He's had maybe 1 or 2 good seasons. He comes in here and just balls out. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, they're nominated for certain awards for a reason. JaMychal Green, who is like a late season addition, ends up coming in, finding a little role where he comes in, gets a few minutes, and tries to make a couple of shots. Zubac, this was the dumbest trade from the Lakers, and I'm going to keep saying it. Zubac is a nice young center. Even if he's not a starting caliber center, he's just a nice young center to have on your team. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander came in here and played well. Patrick Beverley, one of the best defensive guards in basketball. Landry Shamet, a good 3-point shooter, just needs to be a little bit more consistent. Wilson Chandler, solid for his role. Rodney McGruder, we didn't really see a whole lot of. Neither did we from Garrett Temple. But, I mean, a lot of these players have they just balled out, and it's that simple. And then for most improved player, we got to go to Brooklyn, man, D'Angelo Russell. I thought about putting D'Angelo Russell for the award, I'll be honest, because it just seemed like it was going to be that type of year where he breaks out and becomes an all-star. But for that award, I only made one prediction, and that was De'Aaron Fox, which, spoiler, he's on the ballot. But D'Angelo Russell made an all-star team. It was a contract year for him. So I don't know if it's like a situation where he's in a contract year, he gets the new contract, and he kind of takes a step back. I doubt it, man. He's just been playing so well. Brooklyn ended up being a playoff team. And, he was just a really good on-the-floor leader for this team. And then we go to Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox, my boy, in the draft where, that draft was pretty stacked with young talent. I thought he'd be one of the best players from the draft. And this season, he played like it. His rookie season, not so much. But De'Aaron Fox, definitely worthy of being in this race. He probably won't win the award because the next guy we're going to talk about definitely came out of nowhere, and he's probably going to win the award. But De'Aaron Fox, shout out to him, man. He just keeps getting better and better. We got to go to Toronto, man. Pascal Siakam. This dude literally came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone had this guy at the beginning of the season being in the most improved player of the year, nomination. And it's cool. I didn't either. I didn't even have him in my personal top 3. But this guy just came out of nowhere. He's a decent defender, can switch on to a lot of different positions, can stretch the floor, pretty dominant inside, has ideal size, can guard multiple positions. I mean, this is what he did in his rookie season. Actually, no. This is what he did in his rookie season and then his second season. I forgot he was even drafted in 2016. I thought he was drafted like last year, so that's totally my bad. But he only averaged like 4 points, 3 rebounds, 7 points, 4.5 rebounds. And then this season, I mean, you can't see it, but obviously he averaged like 17 points a game. Just a really good player all around, and a very important player for Toronto in the postseason. I know the postseason, I don't think at least reflects regular season awards. Maybe it does. I don't know. Basketball's weird. But Pascal Siakam definitely going to win the award. So now I'm going to predict who wins all the awards. So obviously I have Pascal Siakam winning most improved based on the ballot. Hold on, I'm going to go back to the pictures and kind of tell you guys who I think is going to win. So yeah, Pascal Siakam I think is definitely going to win most improved. And then coach of the year. Where's he at? Mike Budenholzer. I'm going to give it to Mike Budenholzer. Defensive player of the year, because I am a biased Oklahoma City Thunder fan, I'm going to give it to Paul George. Sixth man of the year, Sweet Lou. We got to give it to Lou Williams, man. Rookie of the year, Luka Doncic, man. I want to give it to Trae Young, but I feel like Luka's going to win it. And then MVP, y'all already know, man. Giannis Antetokounmpo. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed kind of me calling myself out from the last 7 months ago video about my NBA predictions and like for the awards and stuff. And basically the updated, ballot and who I think is going to win. So obviously when the ballot comes out, I'll let you guys know, like, was I right? Was I wrong? But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. I know I've been rambling on forever. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and peace.